Good day, everybody. This is Sky with SmartPokerStudy.com, and I've got a hand history review on PokerTracker 4 video for you today. It's going to be a short one, not too long, but I'll go over the basics on how to do hand histories in PokerTracker 4. So this is PokerTracker 4. Normally when I open it up, I'm on the Stats tab up top, and in this it gives me the most beneficial numbers, the easiest report for me to use, with all the features that I need to review my hands for the day. You can review some different reports. First off, I always look at the summary, but we can go to the overview report real quick, and you can see some basic stats that you need to know for just about every session, some of the most important stats. You could see yesterday I played 800 hands at about 21 BBs won, which isn't great. Not what I'd like to be, but not too bad. You can see 0.03 BBs per hand or 3 BB per 100, kind of lower on the win rate scale. I would love to see mine at 5 to 6, at a constant 5 to 6, upwards of 10 to 12 sometimes, after a very good session. But down here, within the overview tab, you've got the basic report or the advanced, which gives you a lot more, only 2.63, bummer. It gives you a lot more stats to look at for the day yesterday. But you could just look at your stats here. You need to go back to the summary to view your hands, of course. Oh, and besides the overview and summary, you have the Hold'em hand range visualizer report and facing pre-flop action reports, which I'll get to in later videos. But here in the summary report, you can see up top, I have it broken down by position, and normally I go by position. But yesterday, I played overall about a 10.5, 14-11 game, you could say, which is a little bit on the tight side, on the reg side. I was playing 9 tables yesterday, so I was really focused on just opening up at the top of my range, not at the top of my range, at some of the best hands within my range, and playing in decent spots. I wasn't looking so much to exploit too many players, because at 9 tables, I'm still getting used to playing so many tables that there's still a whole lot for me that I need to concentrate and focus on when I play. I'm not used to playing so much just yet. So when I do play more tables, I tend to be a little bit on the nittier side. But a 14-11 yesterday. You can see by looking at my positions here that in earliest position, of course, only 9% of hands played. And every time I played, I came in for a raise. Of course, no limping. MP, the same thing. Every time I played, I came in for a raise. But the cutoff is the first time when I actually came in for a call. Now, looking here, I don't know if it was actually a call or a limp, but we could take a look real quick. So currently, you can see the blue highlight. We're looking at the button position. These are all the hands from the button. Let's go to the cutoff here, and let's find that hand where I did call. Hopefully I made a good call, but we shall see. So all the hands are broken down here. You can see how currently it's sorted by date. Once you click these, it'll give you a different sort. So for example, 1, you can see in the cutoff, the most I won was $1.01. If I hit it again, it'll reverse the sort, and you can see the most I lost was $2.95. Eek, kind of ugly there. Let's go back to date, sorting it by date. We want to see what hand I called with. Well, that would mean that pre-flop action was a call. So it's sorted by pre-flop action. At the top, you have raise fold. It goes alphabetical, of course, when you're sorting it. Raise fold, then all your raises. Looks like I came in for a good number of raises. Oh, and then lots of folding in the cutoff. You can see a lot of the hands I folded were whether it was an unopened pot to me or one raiser and a caller. I'm not going to be playing a king 9, of course. Folding, lots of folds. As you can see, I folded, I voluntarily put money in 14% of the time, so 86% of the time I folded my hands in the cutoff. Anyway, you can see the one calling hand right here, and it was a king jack. So let's do a little review. In order to review your hands, you can do it one of a couple of different ways. If you right-click it, it'll give you some options. View hand details. We'll take a look at this real quick. I never view hands this way. I'm just not a fan of reading it like this. I like to view it through the replayer. So right-click again, replay hand. You can replay all the hands in the report, but let's just replay this hand. So you can see right here at this table, I am the hero. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other players. So it's almost a full table, just missing 1 seat. Now the under the gun +1, yada, 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 all the way around. I'm in the cutoff with the button right here. Now let's just cycle through the hand. Okay, looks like we have a raise here from a 24-9. Well, a 24-9 player opening early position, let's take a look at this pop-up. I have raise first in by position, EP, MP, cutoff. Now, I do only have 35 hands on the guy, so it's a small selection. But out of the 35 hands, he's only opened 0 times in EP. This is his first time opening in EP right here. So you know that he's probably pretty nitty. It's a small sample size, but he's probably pretty nitty in early position. So he's raising at a 9% range or so, give or take, in early position. Let's continue through the hand. So it's a tighter range, of course. If we go through, we got 3 folds, and then it comes to me. Now, looking back at this now, I don't know exactly what was going through my head last night, but I'm not a big fan of calling here. I would rather just fold. King Jack suited, I'm down with calling, but not the King Jack off. But of course, I end up calling. Let's just take a look here. Mid game, when you're in the middle of the hand, you don't really have time to do this, but when you're using tools like Flopzilla enough, it kind of gives you an idea of good calls or profitable calls or unprofitable. This feels to me like an unprofitable call. I need 40% equity in the hand. Now, does King Jack offsuit have 40% equity against a 9%? Or, because he's in the EP, even a tighter range than 9%? Let's take a look in Flopzilla. Pop this bad boy open. Different ranges. Let's start with a 5%, and let's build up from... Well, let's look at a 10% first. A 10% open range is right about here. Now, my King Jack off, it doesn't really matter what the cards I had was, but King Jack off. Now, against a 10% open, a King Jack off only has 35.5%. So, against this wide of a range, I am not getting enough equity in order to call versus the pot odds. So, this is a fold here. Let's say he was opening 12.8%. Well, 38%, I'm closer to the 40% needed, but still not good enough. Let's say he's opening 15%, which is a lot more hands. Only one hand, 2 hands kind of that I dominate. Everything else, and even these right here, they're suited at least as that benefit against me. But I've only got about 42%. So you could say if he's opening 15% in early position, but most likely, being a 21-9 player, he is not opening that wide, 15%. So let's put him on a more reasonable 10% or so opening range. Now, my King Jack off has only 35.5%, so it's a definite fold. I'm going to chalk this up to a mistake right here. Something I should not have played. Let's see how this hand played out, though. I called. Got some folds. Hey, top pair. Now, looking at this range, 3 King 5, I hit top pair, but I have an ugly kicker. He easily has an ace king, a king queen, a set of kings, a pair of aces. Pair of queens, yeah, sure, I could be ahead of that. But let's see what he does here. Leads out for half pot. Now, up to this point, 35 hands, he has only c-bet one time, and now he chooses to c-bet, which shows some strength. So I can... if I have the best hand here, he's out of position. The likelihood of him firing again on the turn, pretty nil if I have the best hand here. But I decide to call. We see a turn of an 8. Now, an 8 does not help his range at all. C-betting with pocket 8s on King 3-5, I doubt it versus such a passive player. It's possible, but, but if my hand is good on the flop, it's good on the turn. So he bets another half pot, and I decide to call. Yuck. Right now I'm kind of barfing in my mouth. I don't like this hand at all. Now the deuce comes. Of course, it completes the ace 4 or the 46 for a straight. But what are the chances that such a passive guy is going to have a deuce 4 or 4-6 or even pocket deuces to where, or even an ace 4 to where that river helps him? Who's going to fire with those hands 2 streets to get to that river, which could help him? If I'm good on the flop, good on the turn, I'm probably good on the river as well. So of course he makes another half pot bet. So this is just a guy who is just straight going for value. He has a really good hand, king, queen, ace, king. I don't know, 70, 80% of the time. Pocket aces as well, So I would say overall 100% of the time. I mean, he could have queen, queen and is just trying to get me off of, I don't know, pocket 7s or 6s or something like that, 9s or 10s. But I doubt it. He's betting almost his full stack. Now, when a player is this aggressive, putting this many chips into the pot, I should know I'm beat, and I should have folded on the turn. But I go ahead and call, and he turns over the ace king, of course. So it was a bad play, ugly from the start. Anytime I make mistakes anytime I catch a mistake that I made while I do hand history reviews, I have a journal that I keep. It's a handwritten journal where I make entries of the mistakes made and how many times I make them. So for this hand, let's see, what kind of entry would I make? Let's see here. Let's type it out. I might say something like, I don't know, called a tight opener in EP. What did I call with? With King Jack off. Needed, what was it? If I remember, it was 40% equity. Only had 35.5% versus 10% range. Now, this is a common type of note that I'll make on my mistakes when I'm studying. I'll write this down, and if I catch myself in the current session or in future sessions making this mistake, I'll put an exclamation point for each time I make it. So if I made it twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 times, then I know I'm really boning on this situation, and it's something I need to really work on and focus on for every session I play after this, if I made this many mistakes. But we could just keep this for now because it was the one time that I made this mistake. So we go ahead and minimize this, head back to our hand right here. We're done reviewing that. So as long as you learn from your mistakes, you're going to be better off, of course. That's why you need to keep that mistake journal like that. Currently, my mistake journal is about 3 handwritten pages of notes. And occasionally, there are so many situations that differ in the slightest. I try to group them as best I can to pre-flop, flop, turn, and river mistakes. But I find that I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm doing my best to learn from them by doing hand history reviews and keeping track of the mistakes like this. So that's when you just start off kind of looking at your VPIP and PFR, taking a look at that stuff. You can see I make some more calls on the button as well. And lots of calls in the BB and quite a few calls in the SB2. So I could review those, but we just already did one calling hand review. We'll move on to some others. So yeah, you can group by position, full ring. You can also group by session. So I see we played one session last night. Group by table session, which breaks it down to all the individual tables you played. I played 10 tables last night. At one time I had 9. One table dropped out. I added another, so that was my 10th table. Looks like I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables, 6 tables at over an hour, and all these other ones kind of intermittent throughout, mixed up. So not too bad. Decent amount of playing, but I could have played a lot more yesterday. You can also look at it by date. So in that date, all of your hands are listed. So, of course, it only says 100 hands. I played 814, and that's because most recent 100 hands is selected here. Let's take a look at now. You have recent 500, recent 1,000, or all hands. So let's take a look at all the hands played last night. You can see 814 hands, just grouped by date. You can group them by or sort them by whole cards. So it looks like I got pocket aces twice. Eek, lost $4.40 on that one. Let's just review that real quick. Was this in EP right here, or MP1 hand? Of course, I raised, got a caller. Now this guy 2013 can be calling with quite a wide range. 7 deuce 4. Now deuces, 4s, and 7s are in his range. Couple of spades, of course. Top pair, A7, King 7, possibly maybe 7-8 could be in his range. He's not the loosest of players. He does call a decent range right here. Before we do that. Oh, wrong one. Right here. So, pre-flop, call a 2-bit, EP, MP, cutoff. On the button, he calls most of the time. I don't have that many hands against the guy, but so far he hasn't done much calling. So this one hand, out of 169 hands, this one hand calling could be a lot of different suited connectors, small pocket pairs, and whatnot. Maybe some suited aces. I do have the nut suited ace covered, but could be some suited kings. Even 2 overs, King Jack, King 10, Queen 10, suited, that kind of thing in this hand right now. So of course I make your standard c-bet. Now he folds the c-bet 50% of the time, which is only 3 out of 6. 0 out of 0 in this session, but 3 out of 6 overall. So I can't expect a call, but that's fine. I've got a great hand. I'm just going for some extra value. If he has a flush draw or even a straight draw with 5-6 or 5-8, getting some value out of stuff like that. And he calls. Turns a deuce. Now, that doesn't scare me so much. King deuce is possible. Ace deuce is possible. But if he's got it, he's got it. I am not going to give up the turn. I'm not going to check fold that turn for sure. I could fold to a check shove, of course, but I mean, how's that going to happen? I don't want to check and give him a free card to hit. So, of course, I bet a little over half pot here, and he chooses to call. And now the 9 hits. Now, he could have had a 7-9, but he's got lots of just busted spades in his hand. Busted straight draw as well. He has some top pair hands, a7, king 7, even 10-7, 7-8, 8-9. Well, or a 7-9, which is 2-paired. But a lot of those just stuck with they have second pair now. So I think it's fine just making a half pot bet, continuing with my half pot all the way, and see what he does. Fold to any kind of aggression. And he raises, which I can see a fold here. I'd be fine with a fold. But I called. And of course, let's see what he flops over here. Set of 4s. So he just went calling, getting some decent value there. Maybe, I don't know why he didn't go for more sooner. If he would have raised on the turn, he could have got my full stack. So he missed out on $3.10 value. I believe so, at least. So there's that hand. Now, what kind of mistake can I say we made with this one? I really don't think this was a mistake. I think it's fine. I could have check called the river, but that's kind of 50-50. I mean, I'm betting for value, trying to get something out of a 7. Trying to get something out of a 7. Flush draws, straight draws that missed are going to fold. I'm only probably getting raised by a 7-9 or a set on the flop, which would have been quads on the turn, or a full house on the turn as well. But he just really didn't show much aggression, and just a half pot bet. I was getting good odds. I think, let's take a look at the odds right here. I just needed 17%. So 17% of the time I needed to win. That would mean that I only needed to win 17% of the time, which is less than 1 out of 5. He needed to be bluffing or raising just 1 out of 5 times. And I can see that happen, maybe an ace-9 hit on the river or whatever the case is. He can be bluffing occasionally, and my pair of aces can be best, I think. And that's also a cheap bluff that sometimes players make when they're in position on an opponent, just raising an inconsequential river in order to bluff a guy off. So I think that at least 70% of the time I'm good here. 1 out of 5 for sure. So I made the call. And, well, it was a bummer. Lost that one. But I'm not going to chalk that up to a mistake. See, hands like that, just because you lost, does not equal a mistake. So we're back to this here. So we've seen all hands, 814 hands, sorted by that right there. Now, let's see. Maybe we want to look at some specific situations here. I've got quite a few quick filters. Let's pick one. Let's see hands I c-bet. So out of the 814 hands, I c-bet 27 hands, which seems like a fair amount. There's those aces that we just saw right there. Let's sort it by the amount we won. Now, the biggest amount we won was with a king-queen. The biggest we lost was that 440. So let's take a look at a king-queen off right here. When I double-click it, I have it opening directly to the replayer. King-queen off. Now, this is a hand where I c-bet and won money. Just got a limp, and I raised, of course, with the king-queen. 4411's a weak player. I have him possibly dominated with this. He could have just an ace, a naked ace or something, but whatever. See, and he calls. He's got position on me. Now, I flop top pair. He folds 67% of the time, but I only have 28 hands on the guy. So most likely he will fold to some aggression by me, unless he's hit any part of the flop. But it's such a small percentage that he might call with a king or an ace overcard. Who knows? And I know in the micros, the best way to make money is by value betting your hands. Checking and slow playing just means a smaller bet on the river, which means less value to be made overall. So I c-bet it just half pot, and he gives me a call, which is fine. Now, the 3 is kind of inconsequential. I don't think he has a 4 or a 6 or a pair of 3s. I'm not 4 or a 6, I'm sorry. I don't think he has 4-6 or a pair of threes for a set. So if I'm good on the flop, I'm still good on the turn. So I bet again half pot, and he gives me a call, paying me off there. Now I flop trips on a backdoor flush board. Right here, of course, he could have hit a flush. He could have had a king jack of clubs, something like that. Ace king, I don't know, open limp and a call with an ace king. Seems like an open limp raise would be a better hand with ace king. Let's see how often he limp raises. Limp raise 0, limp calls 100% of the time. So this guy's just a passive fish. He's a calling station, that's another sign right there. Is 44-11. He's a calling station. So going for 3 streets of value is great against a player like this. So he could have hit a backdoor flush, but he's called 2 streets already. So I've got to just put him on. If he didn't have like a pair of queens with another club on the flop and turn, if he had, I guess it could have been ace 5 or 6-5 of clubs, something like that, where he could have called and hit. But, the chances of that are pretty nil. I've got to be at least thinking I'm ahead here. But I checked just in case. I think that is a mistake. I think I should have value bet right there. But he decides to value bet. And there's no way I'm not check folding a river like this on a backdoor flush board. If he's got it, he's got it. He didn't bet that big. He could have shoved. He could have shoved to get major value or as a bluff, and I think I would have called a shove still. But I don't think check calling here is that bad of a play. Betting isn't bad either. I think it's 6-1, half dozen the other. I think either play is fine. I don't think either one is a mistake. But of course I call. I am not folding. He turns over a queen deuce for a set of trips on the river. But I have the better kicker, of course. So that was a winning hand. No mistakes made. I don't think so, at least. Now, king queen was my winningest hand. My losingest hand was the ace ace. But other than that, there's another king queen suited this time. Let's double click here. Now, EP, this is an easy raise for me. I am not limping. I'm not folding. Way too good to fold and way too good to limp as well. So I'm raising my standard raise in anytime I'm in the early position, whether it's pocket sixes, aces, ace queen, king 10 suited, whatever it is I'm raising, early position is 3 BBs. Makes it so that my bet sizing stays the same, and they do not get a hint from the size of my bet. Now I get 2 calls here, one from a super passive fish and one from kind of a tag player. Slightly bordering on passive but tag. It's only 15 hands, so it's hard to say. This guy also 15 hands. Looks like 15 hands for me, so I've been at this table only 15 hands. Basically, not even, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 full orbits is it. So there's not much of a read on these players, but no matter what, at 15 hands, if you're a 60-0 at anything above 10 hands, you're a fish, without a doubt. And this guy, his stats can change over the next 5 hands. He can go up to, who knows what? He can go up to a 30-12, a 30-20 player at this point over 5 hands. But this guy, he's a fish. He's a calling station. He has position on me. But I flop a nice flush draw along with a backdoor straight draw. See what I do. I've got a bet here. I have the initiative pre-flop, and the station raises me. So what does he have here? He has a jack, he has a 7, he has a possible flush draw as well, but I got to put him on a jack. And against a jack, I have some pretty decent equity, I would say. 17% just to call. I have to be winning this at least 17% of the time. 5-7 jack, diamond, spade. And let's put this guy on let's seriously put him on that 60% open limp. Now, the reason why my 60% open limp does not have these, because most likely these hands are going to raise. I could give him, let's say he's super passive, and let's say he's just open limping with these, open limp calling. Definitely not these. I think he's open limp raising all of the, he could open limp call this, but I doubt it. I think he's coming in for a raise. But I think all of these hands are coming in. These are all within his range in open limp and then call. Open limp call. He could do that here just because he's so passive. Now, obviously, I flopped a flush draw. along with the backdoor straight draw. I've got 64% equity, so there is no way I am folding with 17% odds. That would just be a horrific bet fold on this board. Now, if there was an ace and no flush draw, and I was simply betting just a king-queen, let's take a look at that here. Let's say we had an ace of clubs, a nine of spades, so I had, let's say it's even worse, a seven of spades and a deuce of hearts. Well, geez, I still have 51% against this range because he's such a weak wide player. But you could say, of course, if he's betting, he still doesn't have this big of a range. So maybe it's less than 51%. But just against this opening range, I've still got great equity. If we even narrow this down to, let's just say he's got a 22% opening range, I've still got 30% equity. I can't be folding here. Nope. The deuce doesn't change much at all. He didn't raise me with the set. Oh, and I didn't notice until just now he was all in. So of course I'm calling. I'm not going to fold to that. And then this guy folded. So at this point it's moot. The point is moot, and I would put him on a jack, and yeah, he's got a jack here. But still, I had great equity. 2 overs along with a pair, along with the backdoor straight draw on the flop. Calling the bet and calling. After this guy folded, it was just me and him. I couldn't see a fold there. Yep. So that's how I do hand history reviews. I use Flopzilla, use PokerTracker 4, and I go over winning hands, losing hands. I go over all the various whatever I feel like focusing on at the moment. I can't focus on every single type of play there is to make, every situation. You just have to go through your hands and focus on one thing at a time. So thank you very much, everybody, for viewing, and I hope this video is a help. Please leave me any comments in the comments below, any questions you might have, and happy grinding, everybody. Good luck out there on the tables.